Welcome to another episode of the Obsessed with Real Estate show. I am your host, Alana George, and I am obsessed with real estate. I am so excited for today's show. I interview Michelle Rogers, who dives deep and gets personal with us, talking about how she got out of abusive relationships, rid herself of scarcity mindset and this survival mode that goes along with that. She now made that transformation. She owns 50 rental properties. She is a private money lender. She's doing good right and left, transforming neighborhoods, fostering children, saving horses. This lady is an angel, and I'm so grateful that I got to interview her. We also got to talk about a new vocab word for me, which was a cupcake rental or a cupcake purchase, which is really fun. So listen for that, as well as what her minimum cash flow criteria is for her rental properties. I love when people share stuff like that, the personal stuff, the numbers stuff, real estate, it all comes together in today's show, and I love it. Before we hop in, I just want to touch on, we talk about the power of networking, which we talk about a lot on the show, right? But if you haven't yet looked into it and surrounding yourself with other real estate obsessed people, do yourself a favor and just take a few minutes, hop on meetup.com. That's probably the largest platform for real estate meetups. Just type in your area, real estate investors, and chances are a lot will come up. The guest today mentioned Invest Her meetups, which are all over the country as well. And you can also find meetups posted on Bigger Pockets website. Check that out under network. I think local events is the tab there. But if you don't find one in your area, chances are there's still a need. So think about starting one. It doesn't take a lot, and everybody's really appreciative and grateful that you did. It takes a little bit of effort to start one, but it's worth it, right? And you could just get a co-host, do it every month, maybe switch off on who's responsible or split the responsibilities down the middle. And it's not a lot of time and energy put towards creating it. It doesn't require a whole lot of time and energy to create one, and the benefits outweigh big time, as you'll hear on today's show. So let's hop into the interview with Michelle Rogers. Perfect. I'm here with Michelle Rogers with Magnetic Property Management, and she is also full-time real estate investor, I'm going to say, because she said she has 6 other companies with buy and holds and short terms. So I'm excited to jump into that, as well as hear her story on how she got to where she is today, which just sounds like 50 rental properties, which is pretty awesome and admirable. Well, first off, thanks for coming on here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we had to reschedule a couple times with our storms, and then you got sick. So finally, the stars have aligned and you're here. So I'm so excited to meet you. We actually haven't met yet, aside from you hopping on the call early and me finishing my makeup and us chit-chatting. But we were actually introduced through Hillary Graves, who was on an early episode of the show. So I will put that in the show notes if you haven't listened to that episode. It's one of the first few, and it's amazing, and she's very inspiring. So she heard you speak at a meetup. Was it an Invest Her meetup?
Yes, it's an Invest Her meetup in Lancaster, PA.
Okay. Oh, way on the other side there. So I'm in California, you're in PA, and she connected us and said, you have to have her on the show. So I trust her, sent you the invite. I knew, like, if Hillary vouches for you, then you're a pretty awesome lady. So let's hop in. Tell me a little bit about your background and what got you to real estate investing and why. What were you doing before this?
So I'm originally from Upper Bucks County. We moved to Lancaster in 2016. I started investing in 2017. I retired from healthcare. I was a surgical technologist in the orthopedic operating rooms. Retired December 24th, so Christmas Eve of last year. And that was actually my last trauma call shift.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's one is location, and two is my husband have had a tumultuous childhood. And my husband is the very first person in my life that said, what are your dreams and what do you want to do? And how can we make that possible? I said that I always liked real estate. I was a real estate agent tons and tons of years ago when my children were little. And I helped fix and flippers in depressed areas turn over that area. And I really liked that. So had a couple medical procedures while we were here in Lancaster, hooked up with a coach and her program, bought my first property at auction, holes in the roof, sewer issues. We worked on it nights and weekends and still have that property. Doesn't owe me anything. Infinite returns on that one.
That's great.
And that was 2017. We refinanced that in December. And then now we've got about 50 properties, one short-term rental in North Carolina, and the rest are long-term rentals.
That's amazing that you were able to build that. And so give me the timeline again of when you bought your first one and then to where you're at now.
So we bought the first one, I believe the auction was May of 2017. We finished renovations December of 2017. So we have refinanced it out and put someone in it. And then all the meantime, I was buying more properties.
Wow. Okay. So from 2017, now you're at 50 rentals.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. What is the price point of your average buy? And how are you buying these? It's just, you don't get to 50 with that many like conventional mortgages, right?
No. So very first one that I purchased, the coach, I purchased it at auction for $10,000. So that was my husband's $10,000. But to renovate it, my coach put us in touch with a private money lender. Mm-hmm. Unbeknownst to us, it was actually her sister through a IRA, her old 401k. When we refinanced her out into a normal conventional mortgage, I was like, what's going on with this private money? I just gave her all this interest and how can we do it? So that actually started us becoming private money lenders and seeking out other private money lenders to do exactly what I had just learned how to do.
Amazing. There's like so much to unpack here. You're a rock star. But first off, I have to say your husband money is your money. Yeah. So don't ever correct yourself again.
Well, it's our money.
Yeah.
And that property, we had about 4 contractors walk off the job. So they would walk in and start talking to my husband to do like scope of work. And my husband is like, she's the one with the checkbook. So you need to go talk to her. And they would take one look at me and walk out. So we ended up doing the whole renovation minus, I think, 2 things on our own. Like I couldn't do a sewer line. So we had that. And we didn't do a roof. So we had the contractors for the roof done.
That is ridiculous. I wonder, I mean, so many things go through my mind as far as like why a contractor wouldn't want to work with you for being a woman. I wonder if it's a little bit more regional than I would find that here in California. But I've definitely experienced it. If I go to a property with my husband, people talk to my husband, right? Even though I live, breathe, sleep, eat real estate. I'm a realtor. I have the show. I do the meetup. People come to him with real estate stuff all the time. It's for him not being in the world of real estate at all. Like I'm always like flabbergasted by the amount of real estate questions he gets asked. And he has a level of understanding because of his proximity to me, but I'm always like, hello, I'm right here. I know what we're talking about, right? So that's so interesting that that happened to you. And obviously I'm like, shocked, surprised. I feel sorry, but it sounds like it may have been for the best because I'm sure that you two learned a lot from doing it yourself. And you probably saved a lot too.
Oh, yes, definitely. And we learned that our marriage will not survive another one. So I have to get creative. And I had to really seek out contractors and form those relationships very quickly. So yeah.
My husband and I would be the same way, by the way. And it's not, well, maybe not as much him as it would be me, just to be honest. But what did you find was important in the contractors that you picked?
Consistency. consistency in their crews, consistency on how they actually performed, how quickly they were able to get things done. A lot of times contractors will come out and do a quote and then you never hear from them again. And I'm like, dude, you took the time to come here and give me this quote. Like, I'm saying, yes, let's do this. And now you don't have time to do it. Why did you even waste your time?
Yeah.
Why did you waste my time?
Yes. It reminds me of the book, The E-Myth. I don't know if you've read that one.
No.
Yeah. The E-Myth. And I think they came out with the E-Myth Revisited or something. And that goes along the lines of saying, like, we get really good at our trades and then we want to branch out and be our own business owners. And that's what contractors do a lot. They're really good at maybe fixing and building homes, and they branch off and start their own business. But now they're wearing multiple hats. They're not just the one just doing the work. They're doing the scheduling, the estimates, the billing, right? They're managing not just their clients' expectations, but the crews and scheduling. So there's so much that goes into being a business owner beyond just the ability to do the service, right? And so a lot of times when people make that jump, it doesn't work out, and there's balls that get dropped, just like you're mentioning. Like, why would you even come out, right?
Right.
If you're not going to follow up or you don't have time, it's because they don't have the capability of switching those hats and the resources are to hire that out. So anyways, it just reminded me of that. And I find that a lot with subs too, with trying to hire out of state contractors, that I'd rather just pay more to go with a big company because they have other people answering the phones, right? Other people doing scheduling and stuff. So it's not a surprise, but yeah. So touching on that, there's a lot that I want to jump into. We kind of touched on a lot of things really fast. One of the things that you and I talked about was really your background leading up to here. And it was very inspiring as a woman, as a real estate investor. And you kind of touched on it, saying that your husband was the first person to ask you what you really wanted to do. And that struck me definitely, especially it didn't come from you, it came from him. And it was very surprising and shocking to be loved in that way. Can you dive into a little bit, like leading up, why was that such a big surprise and why was he the only one, right?
Yes. So my childhood was very tumultuous. There was a lot of verbal, physical, sexual abuse. At one point, my mom actually tried to kill me. Her knees were on my neck and head as she was bouncing me on the floor. I tried running away and got into a car accident. Ended up in the hospital, had wire hanger marks all over my body. Child services got involved, pastors got involved. And as a child and you're 12, 13, 14 years old, and you're going through this, you're hoping that these people will help you. They're supposed to help you.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So at one point, I was sent off to a very religious boarding school. And kind of a home for troubled teenagers. They're all but defunct now because they've been indicted on a lot of abuse charges.
Oh no.
So that actually saved my life. Even though going there, that saved my life because it took me out of my home situation.
Yeah.
When I came back, you don't know what you don't know. So as a child growing up in that, you don't know that that is not normal because that's all you know. So when I came back and graduated high school, I did what society tells you to do, basically. I mean, this was back in the 90s. You're supposed to get married, have kids. You know, you don't go to college. You get married, you have kids. You start a family. So I did that. But I did that with a narcissist abuser. And
right, because that felt comfortable.
Right,
you
that's
knew
exactly
that.
what I know. Yeah. So had 3 children, ended up divorcing. He was cheating. He brought the girl in, which is now his wife, which I don't begrudge her. She's actually really good for my kids because we're 2 totally different personalities. So my kids get the loving, the Martha Stewart, the, you know, her house looks like it comes out of a catalog. Yeah, you're not gonna get that with me. You're going to get straightforward, to the point, no crafty bones, nothing. So I think that it's good that my kids have that difference and that opportunity.
Yeah.
The divorce was pretty hard. If it wasn't for the fact that I had two really strong girlfriends that I could lean on, I would have been in a women's shelter. So those two really strong girlfriends, one introduced me to yoga and owns a yoga studio. The other one, she put me up in her house. She helped me buy a car. She helped me get into school. She literally is my guardian angel. And I actually didn't know her until about 3 months we met before my divorce. So
wow.
That's why she was brought into my life.
Wow. That gives me the goosebumps. What an angel, huh?
Yeah. So I took the next 2.5 years really evaluating myself, going through self-discovery, who I wanted to be. I read a lot of self-help books. I checked out different religions, just kind of the gamut of allowing myself to explore, and met my husband, who I'm married to now. And when we were going through things, he was the first person who actually said to me, what are my dreams? And I was like, my dreams? I don't have dreams. I just want to survive. I have all these doctor's bills. I have this, I have that. I literally need to survive. I had $5 in my bank account, and I had to figure out if I was going to put it in my gas tank to get to work or if I was going to eat that week. And he pulled up behind me and filled my gas tank, and I broke down and cried. So dreams, what the heck are dreams? Don't know what that is. Manifestation, don't know what that is. So he 100% opened my eyes, along with my one girlfriend who also has the yoga studio, about a whole different world of abundance, giving, gratitude, and not being stuck in this survival scarcity mindset, and where I came from, because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
Once I made that mental and emotional and physical shift, and I had gone through some medical issues, that's when they say the student is ready, the teacher appears. Found the online course through April, and then bought the first house right at auction.
Amazing.
And the house with the auction, my husband's standing there going, oh my goodness, this is too much. You're in way over your head. And I went upstairs.
You're dreaming too big now, Michelle.
I went upstairs, and this is creepy. Went upstairs, and in the front window was a dove with an egg in a little nest. And I looked at that dove, and I was like, nope, this is it. This is the house.
That's the sign you needed.
Yep.
How hard was that mental transition for you to go from scarcity, survival mindset, right, of just trying to make it through the day, to then like, oh, manifesting, you can create any life you want, right? Because I know sometimes it just sounds foofy or silly to people coming from that mindset, because it's completely different. Living in abundance and through manifesting, that seems like something only privileged people get to fantasize about, this weird mindset. So was that a hard transition for you, or for you to grasp?
So actually, if you put it that way, oh, it's foo-foo, it's new agey. No. I started small. I started with someone had said, you know what, just start with a gratitude journal. So every night before I'd go to bed, I would write down 5 things that I was grateful for, whether it was the fact that, my feet hit the floor in the morning and nothing else went right, or that I was breathing, or that I was grateful because I had a good day with the kids. 5 things. Well, that 5 things then turned into, I started getting books from Wayne Dyer, and I love to read. Wayne Dyer, The Secret, what else? And I started like Dale Carnegie, that's a little bit, How to Win Friends and Influence People is a little hard to read. But then I started Darren Hardy. And Darren Hardy has every day, Monday through Friday.
Darren Daily.
Yes.
Calls it. Yeah.
And that's all you do. You take not even the 10 minutes, you listen to it. And then throughout your day, that's what you start thinking about. So I want to tell people, for me, it was kind of okay, there's all these blue Hondas out there, right? But you don't ever see these blue Hondas until you buy a blue Honda. Now that you've bought in the blue Honda, your mind says, oh, I've got this blue Honda. So now you see all these blue Hondas out there that you didn't see before.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily, for me, it wasn't necessarily that, oh, one day I woke up and my mind shifted and I was like, woohoo, let's go. It's little bits along the way that you start compounding on and you build on them.
And
yes. There are still days I'm like, this is scarcity. Like, unfortunately, I just had to back out of a deal because there's not enough. The old me, this scarcity is like, oh my gosh, I need this amount of money to make this work. And if I can't do this, then I can't do that. So I have to kind of sit back and say, okay, what is holding me back right now from this? And it's always evaluation.
Yeah, there's some kind of fear coming up. Usually I've found in those situations. That's such a good point that you bring up about incrementally building that belief system or your faith in how manifesting or works, or even just the gratitude list is so small, but it's changing almost, I feel like, on a neurological level, like how your brain interprets things, and getting into gratitude for the silliest things. And I find a lot of parallels. I remember like just wanting to get into gratitude and being like, thank you for the roads. Thank you for the trees growing, right? Like, even as silly as it was, knowing that if I just said those things, sometimes it takes doing the action and then your brain follows, right? We assume our brains think up the ideas first and then our bodies and will follow. But sometimes we just have to fake it until we make it, kind of thing. And it sounds like that was really smart on your part to do that. Right? To want to even change. I think that there's a lot of people that are in the scarcity mindset or that survival mode that don't know another way, and they're not wanting to get out of it, or they're not looking for a way out of it, right? Of it, that being the only realm there is in this existence. So I think that that's really cool. And I applaud you. It's very inspiring. So kudos to you. But getting into real estate investing again, there's so much to dive into. So it sounds like your first deal was a BRRRR. You did a lot of the work yourself with your husband, decided that's not how you want to do things. So you systematized that a bit, as well as got into being a private money lender. Does that sound about right?
Yes. So we first started, he had some money in a IRA from another job, and it was just sitting there. So we moved it to what's called a self-directed IRA. So with a custodian. And that, I would say, if you're going to start with a self-directed with a custodian, because they look over everything and they will not disperse funds unless everything is done properly. So we started just lending on rehab funds. So the borrower would have to come up with the purchase price. We would lend on rehab funds. And then we got a little bit bolder and we would lend on purchase and rehab. Of course, my interest rate went up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we've gotten to the point where we didn't need the custodian because I was doing it quite a bit. So we moved the funds from a self-directed IRA to a company-sponsored 401k trust, because we both have companies. And you can put in more monies through the company than you can if it's just a regular IRA. So we started that, and that takes a different skill level than just a beginner, because now you don't have someone overseeing everything. So you have to make sure that you are 100% doing everything above board.
Right. Oh my goodness. So you got professional really fast with that.
And again, just because of the people that I surrounded myself with, going to meetup groups, talking to people, building those relationships, I would say about a quarter of my portfolio right now is long-term private money lenders.
Oh, okay.
And the rest of it is conventional loans. And that's through the businesses.
Amazing. Tell me more about your portfolio. And I have a list of questions here we'll get to. Just like, so these 50 rentals that you have, these are not ones you've lent on. These are ones that you and your companies own, right? Correct. And then what's the mix of those as far as asset type, and are they long-term? You mentioned short-term. What does that look like?
So for the most part, they are single family, 2-3 units. And those are all long-term. And they have one short-term vacation rental in North Carolina.
Oh, okay, cool. But the majority of the other ones are there in PA, in Pennsylvania. Okay. And I think I asked you earlier, but then I asked like 50 million questions in one question. What's the price point generally there?
Well, when I first started, it was $10,000.
Oh my gosh. You know, when you said that, I assumed that was like an initial deposit.
No, because it was a condemned home through the city. So the city was just trying to get rid of these homes. So when I first started, it was 10. And then they going up 20, 40,000. Now, the one that I just bought last week on the 6th was 111.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Amazing. I love it. That's great. And at 111 that's a fixer.
So that one actually is what we call cupcake, because it has a tenant in place that is already giving me at least 1% of my purchase price. And I don't have to really do anything with the property.
Okay.
That's what I call a cupcake. I mean,
that is adorable.
I'll do some like painting on the facade and stuff like that, but really have to just walk in and turn key, I guess.
Okay, that's amazing. And so this isn't like one that you plan on like doing much renovation to at a later time. It just literally, as it is with the tenant in place, it's already at the 1% rule. Amazing. That is so cool. I love that. So circling back, we've kind of already talked about your first deal and what you learned. Basically, you learned that you can't work with your husband and do everything yourself. You had to find contractors. Tell me about your current challenges, where you're at investing now, right? We talked about the challenges, childhood, mindset, first deal, right? But now, being a more experienced investor with 50 units, doing private money lending, what kind of challenges are you running up against now?
I'm very frustrated. I literally just had to pull out of a 6-unit deal. The things are just gotten way too expensive.
Oh, okay.
Now everyone's charging 2, 3, 4 points. They're not giving the percentages that they were giving 80 and 90%. Now they're down to 70, 75%. So now it's more money that I have to come out of pocket with. When I private money lend, I usually lend at 10%. These people are lending at 15 and 20%.
Whoa.
So it's getting and the comps aren't coming in as what they used to. So something that I could say, okay, well, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, it would appraise at 300,000, or appraised at 215, I believe. So we have to challenge the appraisals. So there's a lot of, I want to say, softening of the market, but I don't want to necessarily say that. It's just gotten a lot more expensive right now to borrow.
So expensive money wise. And then it sounds like maybe expensive price wise if the comps are not supporting the sale price, right? Yeah, that sounds expensive all around. Sounds like it was something else creative needs to come about, right?
Right. And I'm all about buying for cash flow. Yes, appreciation's great. And there are people that buy just for appreciation and don't care about the cash flow. I care about the cash flow. So, and I have a certain number that is my bottom line for me to even be interested in the cash flow.
And would you mind sharing that Like, is it per door?
Yes, it's about $300 a door.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
So, and that's with everything paid.
Mm-hmm.
So the mortgage, the
Sure.
rental license, everything has to be paid on it. And I still have to cash flow $300 a door.
That's great. I recently was diving deep into why I resist coming up with a buy box that's very specific. Like you just you shared a little, it has to hit this or else I'm not buying it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of not wanted to set that. And I realized like that's kind of coming from a scarcity mindset, because there's a part of me that's afraid that if I make some line in the sand of, if it doesn't hit this, I'm not buying it. I'm afraid that I won't buy anything. Right. Like as if there aren't these deals that would meet my criteria, or I don't want to do the work to find them. Either or, that's a realization that I have. So you just saying that to me, saying $300 a door is like so cool and inspiring, and also like mind blowing. Because in my head, I'm like maybe 150 a door, right? And then a lot more deals will work, and then I have more options. But there's like this fear of like not finding anything, and if I'm not buying anything, am I even a real estate investor? Who am I? Right. But then I'm in an identity crisis.
Well, and yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like the imposter syndrome. Oh, I say that I'm this, but I'm really not that. Yeah. Here's the other thing that I've come to appreciate is in Lancaster, there's this, and I'm sure it's in every city, there's this line where downtown looks great. And then all of a sudden you cross over this one street, and everything from this street down looks like crap. Mm-hmm. Everything from this street up looks wonderful. Mm-hmm. So when I started investing, I said, I'm going to move that line. So my criteria when I first started was it had to be on this street. Mm-hmm. Now, if there were cupcakes or other things that fit my other box, okay, fine, I bought them. But my goal was to have so many on this particular street so that I could actually turn the street around. And about 2 years ago, Lancaster City finally redid all the sidewalks and talked to me, and we put trees in front of some of my rental properties. Yeah. And that was a huge shift, because when I had first started this, the mayor had said, talk to me when you've got a lot of properties, because they had a program for homeowners to repair the sidewalks. But if you're a landlord, you had to pay for it. So how many properties later, I'm like, guys, let's repair these sidewalks now.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. So you literally were transforming, like moving that line of the nice area into the not so nice area. Right. Mm-hmm. And transforming the city in the meantime, buying enough so that the government will take notice of you. Right. And trees are a huge deal. Sidewalks are a big deal. It's like parallel, like the transformation that you had, and now you're transforming houses and the area. It's like your Cinderella's magic stepmother, or what is it? The fairy godmother.
The evil stepmother.
Not the evil stepmother. No, the fairy godmother, right? Coming in and sprinkling some dust on there. That's so cool. That's a huge accomplishment.
Well, thank you. We're in the process. I had a conference call today. We're in the process of, we're going to do huge flower boxes along the sidewalk where the trees are. So it's progress.
Have you seen the values in that area of the increase as well, and a surge of buyers moving there because of what you have done?
Yes. Now it's gotten the attention of a lot of fix and flippers. So they're coming in, fixing up the homes, which is great because the deferred maintenance was just horrible. Right. So they're coming in and they are flipping it to homeowners, and it's becoming a much family-friendly area now.
Yeah. How old are these homes?
1800s.
Okay. I kind of had a feeling that they were going to be older than our homes. So California homes are not that old compared to like East Coast homes. And so I can't even imagine like the additional deferred maintenance and plumbing and this and that those homes need. Because I know how bad it is here, right? When you have an old home, but that is really old.
Yeah, the old terracotta pipes. So UGI was coming through and redoing their sewer lines, and every time they would jackhammer, well, your sewer line just cracked because it was the old terracotta pipes, and you as the homeowner are responsible from the house to the middle of the street. So
terracotta, are you joking?
Oh, no. So that's why everybody in the East Coast better have sewer line coverage on all of their insurance.
Yeah, there's your tip for the day. That is so crazy that that's even a building material. We definitely don't have that I know of in California at all. Someone feel free to reach out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but nothing is that old. That's wild. Okay. So what would your advice to a new investor be, or somebody that was maybe in your same shoes?
Surround yourself with people that are going to be there. Mm-hmm. Real estate is not rainbows and sunny skies. I can't tell you how many times I have cried on my couch. I wanted to give it all up. Surround yourself with people that you can call and understand real estate, because what's going to happen is once your mind and your brain is focused in real estate and you're obsessed with it, and that's what you're talking about all the time, because that's what happens. Yeah. Your family doesn't want to hear it from you anymore. Your family cannot relate sometimes because they're in a scarcity mindset and you're moving yourself up. So go to the meetup groups, and really for women, the Invest Her groups are really good. And just have, I wouldn't say an accountability partner because that puts a lot of stress on you sometimes. But just have someone that you can call and be like, this day is absolute shit. And I feel like crap. And this is what's happened. And blah, 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 for 2 hours. And they look at you and like, okay, are you done yet? Put your big girl panties on and let's go.
Yes. Or let's brainstorm solutions. Or what if you do this? Or da, 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 da. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. I have somebody like that. I talk to her normally 17 times a day. More than my husband, which he would get so sick of it, I'm sure. He can't do his job and manage my real estate emotions on a moment to moment basis. So yeah, absolutely. And it's accountability / just somebody to vent to that understands, and that I don't have to like overly explain myself to, because yeah, I mean, I have my mom and we're close, but she's also not in the world of real estate. So it's like, oh, baby, it's hard. Just don't do it.
Right. Exactly. I had someone say, well, if it's so hard, you just sell everything. I'm like, you're not getting it.
That's not an option.
I literally just have this problem right now. I just need to get through this problem. Can you help me out here? You know?
That's the same as having kids. I'm not going to sell my kids. I mean, it's a little more business than that, but I'm going to complain. We're going to get through it. There's going to be something else tomorrow, right? Something new. So that is some great advice. And like you said, going to meetups, surrounding yourself with people, networking, that is like so huge. So what would you say, who or what was your biggest inspiration, whether with real estate or self-discovery?
Well, back then, my biggest inspiration was one of my best friends, June. She started a yoga studio from scratch, and I've seen her go from the beginning in 2016 to what she is now, and it's absolutely amazing. So I was like, if she can do it, and she's got 2 kids, then I can do it with my 3 kids, and then we have 6 kids together. And then 3 grandchildren. So I'm like, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And then I started reading. Michelle Obama had her book come out, Becoming. And then Melinda, yes, I read her book. And then I started actually researching some of the strong women that don't get a lot of airtime, like Eleanor Roosevelt. She literally, I feel, was the backbone of that administration and of her entire family. And very rarely do women actually get the kudos.
Yeah, totally. Well, that could be a tangent, but we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very strong women. And just a reminder to our listeners, like we're throwing out a lot of names, a lot of books right now. And I'm going to include those in the show notes if you want to find the books, or like even how to subscribe to Darren Daily. That's a free text service to get some mindset stuff going. These will all be available in the show notes. So I'm taking notes here and I'll add them at the end here. So
can I add one other book? Because this book actually helped change my real estate journey.
Yes.
It's called The 1 Minute Millionaire.
Oh.
And it's actually 2 books in one. It's from the maker of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Oh, yes. Oh, what is
so in one,
yes.
Mark something, I forget his name. So in one part of the book, it's actually a story. So the purple pages are like a story of a woman trying to get her kids back. At that. And then the other side of the book, because it's purple page, and then I call it the rational pages. So that's where you're going to get your affirmations. You're going to get your step-by-steps, where it helps with the story. You can read one or the other, or you can do it both. It just, every time I go through it, because I go through it multiple times, I always get something different out of it.
Interesting. Is it kind of like a practice, like a page a day kind of thing? Or are you supposed to read it all in one sitting kind of thing?
Well, the purple pages with the story, you can read it in all one sitting. You know, it's a story. The other one, you can do a page a day. I think that's how it's set up, and it builds on itself.
Okay. Very interesting. I've not heard of that book, The 1 Minute Millionaire.
I believe that's what it's called. Oh, let me look back.
Yeah, feel free. I've heard of the 1 minute.
The 1 Minute Millionaire. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will add that, and I want to look it up for sure. Thank you for that. So what are you currently obsessed with, real estate related or not?
I'm obsessed with gardening right now.
Love it. Gardening. Cool.
So I'm on the hunt for lemongrass. I think it's a little too early for lemongrass, but I'm on the hunt for it because we have really bad mosquitoes. And I just bought my basil and my rosemary.
Okay.
So I'm going to be planting those. And then I haven't figured out which of the raised beds I'm going to have the tomatoes and cucumbers in. But yeah, right now I'm like all gardening. Like my house has gardening stuff.
Yeah, that's great. So we just had like over the weekend, actually, I think it was Easter, like the first nice day here where you didn't have to wear a jacket outside. And we were so excited. We're like, let's get the tomatoes going. Pretty much all we grow is tomatoes now. So my daughter, she's 3 and she loves the little, I guess they're like little cherry
tomatoes.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all we grow. And I say I just help pick them. But that's great. And a good reminder for me to get that going. I could go buy the plants. I could do that too, but cool. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Also, on this fun note, Michelle, share with us a little known fact about you.
That I love showing horses.
What?
Uh-huh.
I love that that's so out of left field. Not like I've known you for years. This is our first time meeting, but of all the things that I've heard of you from you so far, like you love showing horses, please dive into that.
So I have a thoroughbred rescue. He was rescued from auction. And we've done quite a few paper chases together. We've done some shows together. We started jumping and then I fell and broke my wrist. So getting back on the horse, so to speak.
Exactly.
And then I also have a retired standardbred carriage horse, and he's retired. He's just going to live out his life. He's about 21, 22 years old. Wow. And they're the best of buds. Like they're in the stall next to each other. They go out together. So I kind of say the wise one and the young kid. So
that is really cool. Wow. So you have, between the two of you, 6 kids, 50 rentals, private money business, you garden, and you have 2 horses.
And 3 grandchildren.
3 grandchildren.
Yep. And we're in the process of fostering.
Oh, wow.
And
humans?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Reunification. Just, I want to give back because the system failed me. So I want to be able to be the good in the system.
Wow. You're doing a lot of good all over, it sounds like.
Oh, thanks. I think we all should just try, try to be nice to each other, try to spread kindness, and try to give back.
That's beautiful. This is why Hillary recommended you for the show, I'm sure. You and your beautiful soul. So what is next for you?
I'd love to go to Italy.
Yeah.
No, right now, you know how they say the cobbler always does for everybody else, and
yeah, the cobbler's kids
never has shoes.
have no shoes.
So we are finally renovating our own home. So that's what's next for us, is just doing those renovations.
That is amazing. And I would 100% agree with investing and remodeling, or even for my real estate clients, like, oh yeah, we'll just do new floors, new chandeliers, da, da, da. And I come home and I'm like, I hope nobody ever comes over. I've got like a tarp on my roof for years now, and everything needs to be remodeled. And I'll get to it, right? It's like not a priority because it's my own, right? It's not like dollar producing. It would probably make me happy, but it's not dollar producing, so it doesn't get like priority. That's so funny. I relate to that so much. So Michelle, how could somebody either contact you about your private money business or follow along with you in your journey?
I have a Facebook. It's Magnetic Property Management.
Okay.
And yes, I would do that. Because even though I have Facebook on other companies, it kind of all filters through that one.
Okay, perfect. So I'll include that in the link in the show notes, and I'll include the link to your Facebook, and that's Magnetic Property Management. If anybody wanted to follow along, see what you're doing, say hi, say, hey, thanks for doing good in the world and making a difference, and or look into working with you on a property, that would be Magnetic Property Management on Facebook. Sounds right?
Yep. Or they can always email. It's magnetic property, M as in Mary, @gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. At Gmail. Great. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. I'm sure that I could keep talking to you for like another hour, but thank you so much, Michelle, for being on our show, the Obsessed with Real Estate show. Sounds like you are just as obsessed, and that makes my heart happy.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
I'm glad we're connected now.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Well, that was our interview. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it, like, subscribe, support the show for more content like this. And if you are so inclined, I'd love a 5-star review. It'll help me in the algorithm and reach more people. That would be wonderful. If you'd like to connect with the show, feel free to go to the website, obsessedwithrealestateshow.com, where you can find all of the resources, all the book recommendations, links to those, as well as submit to be a guest on the show. You can find me on Instagram, follow, and reach out at AlanaGeorge_real estate. I'd love if you reached out and said hello. As well as if you are interested in syndications, my website, clearconnectioncapital.com, has a lot of information on what syndications are, why they're beneficial as real estate investments. So check that out. I will see you on the next episode.